Shalom, shalom, and welcome to the White Rose Family Channel. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah, and this message is about Box Nation error. A boxed-in nation error, a mistake, a grave mistake for such a time as this. Discerning Spiritual Yashar'al, also known as Israel, versus natural Yashar'al, also known as Israel, is of vital importance for such a time as this. There are many misgivings, misunderstandings regarding spiritual Yashar'al and natural Yashar'al. Let's unpack this, my brothers and sisters, for I've heard some people say there's no such thing and it's not in the scriptures. Let's look and see. Come with me, my brothers and sisters, as we unpack it. It's to our best interest to recognize what is meant in 2 Corinthians 3, 4 through 6, my brothers and sisters. Too many of us have continued the narrative that the scriptures or Bible is the word of Yahuah. This thought is misleading and results in a box nation error. In other words, the scriptures, the original scriptures, were the inspired written word of Yahuah. Today we have so many different translations. We don't have that original word. Man has tampered with the text, and many teachers are telling you the text is the word of Yahuah. It is not. Like I said, the original scriptures were the inspired word. The text we see today has been translated, some leaving out books in the scriptures, some replacing the name Yahuah and Yahusha with other names. You see, my brothers and sisters, teachers have had us to say, that's the word. And so if we use our academic powers, our own competence, we'll run into conflicts as we study the scriptures, my brothers and sisters. So it's important for us to be mindful of 2 Corinthians 3, 4 through 6, which talks about the letter kills and the spirit makes alive. We should not depend on the letter alone. We should read the letter, but pray and seek the spirit to make things alive. So our comprehension is based off of what the spirit of Yahusha reveals to us and teach us. A box nation error is when people think it is only Yashar'al alone who the Almighty Father has chosen as a result of leaning only on the letter or the text. Do you honestly believe that Yahuah created man with the different colors and nationalities only to save just one natural nationality, that all other races of people, sure, race is not in the scriptures, but all other nationalities? No, my brothers and sisters, that's not the case. He did not create all the different nations only to save one. Stay with me, Yashar'al. The Almighty Father has chosen a people consisting of many nations, kindreds, and tongues. The scriptures are important, but if we think the text alone is the word of Yahuah, we forget that man has tampered with the writings. Remember, there are many translations of the text, and they do not all agree, as I said earlier. Stay with me, my brothers and sisters. Take a look at Genesis 25:23. It reads, and Yahuah said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 people shall be separated from your body, and one people shall be stronger than the other, and the older serve the younger. This is talking about he who was originally named Yaakov, commonly referred to as Jacob, and Esau. 2 nations. One will serve, the older will serve the younger. Study the scriptures and discover that there is a righteous nation versus a wicked nation, my brothers and sisters. Yaakov versus Esau with no others in between. See, ultimately, the scriptures refer to in many cases of spiritual Yashar'al, and we must begin to discern when it's talking about natural Yashar'al and spiritual Yashar'al. It is important to note that Yaakov's name was changed to Yashar'al, or some will say Jacob's name changed to Israel, which is most commonly known as Israel. Yes, the name was changed to reflect a set-apart nation, but not all descendants of Yaakov, whose name was changed to Yashar'al, are among the set-apart family. And I will present scriptures referencing that. There's an equal need to recognize that Esau's name was changed to Edom. And the two nations fight in war against one another. Yashar'al versus Edom represent two nations battling against one another. Righteousness against evil. Come, let us view. It is written in Malachi 1:1 and 1:2 that the message of the word of Yahuah to Yashar'al by Malachi. I have loved you, said Yahuah, but you ask, in what way have you loved us? Was not Esau Yaakov's brother, declares Yahuah? I love Yaakov. It goes on to say, it's written, third verse, but I have hated Esau and have laid waste his mountains and his inheritance for the jackals of the wilderness. You see, my brothers and sisters, Yahuah hates wickedness. The core of Esau, Edom, is wickedness. And he hates wickedness. And people say, well, love everybody. No, it doesn't say love everybody. We must understand that there's a distinction between those who are wicked to the core and the unlearned brother or sister that is growing and stumbling as they grow in set-apartness. All throughout centuries, the main battle is to set apart against the wicked ones. It is wickedness and evil that the Almighty Father, Yahuah, hates. Not all who are Yashar'al are righteous, and not all who are Gentiles, which means other nations, are wicked. Some scriptures don't even use Gentile. They say the Greek to make us think that it's just between the Hebrews and the Greek. Gentiles mean other nations, other nations. And from other nations, Yahuah has drawn Hebrews, Israelites, and others grafted in, the sojourner. Just like there are wicked Hebrews or those that are of Yashar'al, there are wicked Gentiles. Stay with me, my brothers and sisters. Box nation error occurs when people read about promises of Yashar'al and think that no other people can be included. So many different nations have spawned throughout the years, and the scriptures don't say Mexico, Puerto Rico, Australia, France, Spain. The scripture's not naming all these nationalities. It's basically saying, to whom Yahuah has chosen among the Hebrews, Yashar'al, to whom he has chosen, and all those who sojourn, who are drawn by him, grafted in by Yahusha, by the word of Yahuah, represents spiritual Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters. And I'm going to speak on that some more, on spiritual Yashar'al. You see, it states in John 6:44, No one is able to come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him, and I shall raise him up in the last day. Notice, my brothers and sisters, it says no one, unless the Father who sent me draws him. It didn't say only Hebrews. John 14:6 says, Yahusha said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. We must recognize the dynamics of what occurs, what is real, what is true. Visit the following, Galatians 3:28, my brothers and sisters. It is written in the scripture version of the eSword, there is not Yehudi nor Greek, there is not slave nor free, there is not male and female, for you are all one in Messiah Yahusha. My brothers and sisters, see, when it comes down to the core, it is the spirit of a man, the set-apart spirit of a man. And we are under the banner of Yashar'al, the seed of Abraham, the set-apart ones, chosen by the Almighty Father, drawn by him. Romans 9:6 says this, my brothers and sisters. It is written, however, it is not as though the word of the Almighty One has failed, for they are not all Yashar'al who are of Yashar'al. Neither are they all children because they are the seed of Abraham. But in Yitzhak your seed shall be called. You see, my brothers and sisters, look throughout the scriptures. It shouldn't be too hard to distinguish the difference between some of Yashar'al that was wicked. Some of them were killed because of wickedness. Number 16 is one example. Dathan, Abiram, and Korah, killed. They were Hebrews, but they were not acting in a set-apart way. 1 Corinthians 15:41, come with me, and let's see what is written. It reads, one esteem of the Son. Let's see here. Bear with me a second. One esteem of the sun, and another esteem of the moon, and another esteem of the stars, for a star differs from star in esteem. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption, and it is raised in incorruption. See, there's a spiritual body. There's a corruptible body. It goes on to say in 1 Corinthians 15:43, it is sown in disrespect, it is raised in esteem. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. There's a natural body and there's a spiritual body. So it reads in 1 Corinthians 15:44. What say you, Yashar'al? Are you beginning to see how Box Nation era just boxing us in, saying it's only Yashar'al? Could be problematic. No one will be transformed into a Hebrew, or as some will say, an Israelite. Our physical identities do not change. What happens is they grafted into the spiritual body of Yashar'al and become part of spiritual Yashar'al. They don't become a Hebrew. Now, the ultimate change that occurs with the spiritual nation we represent, the ultimate change that occurs is with the spiritual nation we represent. Remember, it is written that there are only two nations battling, Yashar'al versus Edom. This is why it wouldn't be hard-pressed to find a scripture where it said Edom is the end of the world or Esau is the end of the world. For wickedness has its end. There are no other nations or middle ground when it comes to what label should and will be used to differentiate between good and evil. Read Revelation 7:9, my brothers and sisters. We know about the 144,000, but what about Revelation 7:9? It says, after this I looked and saw a great crowd which no one was able to count, out of all nations and tribes and peoples and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, dressed in white robes and palm branches in their hands. Who are these, my brothers and sisters? A great multitude of diverse people. If you drop down to the 14th verse in the 7th chapter of Revelation, you will see the messenger said to John, Master, you know, he said to me, these are those coming out of the great distress, having washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. These are those drawn by the Almighty Father to Yahusha, as John 6:44 informs us. Many of us have heard about the 144,000, consisting of the 12 tribes of Yashar'al. However, we forget the great multitude has representation of many nations, kindreds, and tongues, who have been grafted in, who are set apart, who are under the banner of Yashar'al, or Israel, spiritual Israel. Those who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father and come to him through his word, Yahusha, are part of the spiritual Yashar'al, which includes those grafted into the body. I cannot emphasize that enough. Be prepared to witness a diverse group come together under one banner. Erroneous teachers have fueled mistakes regarding the name of Yashar'al. I submit to you once again, there is spiritual Yashar'al, and there are those whose identity and nationality is Yashar'al. And we must understand that when they say you're not Yashar'al or Greek or Jew or Greek or Jew or Gentile, that's talking about the spirit of a person. We're all under one by the Spirit of the Almighty Father through his word, Yahusha. We must get out of that box nation syndrome and look at Yashar'al as a great set-apart nation, spiritually set apart by the power and might and plan of the Almighty Father. What people fail to realize is natural Yashar'al has righteous and wicked people. Like I said, I can't stress it enough. But too many think Yashar'al is about religion, and as a result, they even attempt to change their identity. When you find someone that is Yashar'al by nationality saying, I'm not part of that religion, I'm not a Hebrew, or I'm not an Israelite, you can't just change your identity. Well, you can make an attempt, but your identity doesn't change. Natural Yashar'al is the nationality that Yahuwah started with first. And he drew from that natural Yashar'al, he drew the chosen ones, anointed by him. And then to all other nations, he began to offer salvation to those whom he chose. What people fail to realize is that there is a natural. To just ignore it because the verse says there's neither Jew nor Gentile, how then do you think Revelation 7th chapter can be fulfilled, talking about the 12 tribes of Yashar'al? How then can you see the grafted in come into one if we don't recognize who is grafted in? All too often we don't recognize or discern the realities of what the scripture is saying to us. Beware, I have witnessed among the unlearned and undiscerning comments that there is no such thing as spiritual Yashar'al. Come away from such a belief, my brothers and sisters. It only breeds confusion, misunderstanding, and erroneous teachings. There will be a final exodus. We will witness a set-apart nation rise. There will be liberation from box nation era, In other words, those who think we're boxed in and it's just us will be sadly mistaken, and proof will come. And time will prove the makeup of spiritual Yashar'al. We will see. Over the years, there have been many different nations, my brothers and sisters, that have sprouted among man. The scriptures do not mention all the many different nations. Instead, it boils down to two distinct nations, Yashar'al and Edom, or Yashar'al and Esau. We will learn to identify those who are set apart, spiritual Yashar'al, as well as end times progress. As end times progress. Well, I better get my eyes right and slow the process down. Be prepared to act, my brothers and sisters. Be prepared to embrace those drawn and proven to be led by the Almighty Father together to fulfill his promises. In order to determine when the scriptures are referencing spiritual Yashar'al versus natural Yashar'al requires prayer, discernment, and understanding, lest we make the saddest mistake and let some of the wicked of Yashar'al into the body. This would be problematic. There are so many who think they can understand just by reading the text alone. This is a grave mistake. Take a look at, my brothers and sisters, 2 Corinthians 3, 4, and 5. And such trust we have towards the Almighty One through the Messiah. Not that we are competent in ourselves to reckon any matter as from ourselves, but our competence is from the Almighty One. You see, if we think we got it by ourselves, we will miss 2 Corinthians 3:6. It is written, who also made us competent as servants of a renewed covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. You see, my brothers and sisters, I realize it seems like I'm being repetitive or redundant, but let it sink in. Pray on the matter, my brothers and sisters. Do not exclude those of other nations that are drawn by Yahuah, and you will know them by their fruits. Romans 12:3 say, for I say through the favor which has been given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he should think, but to think soberly, as Almighty One has given to each a measure of belief. Embrace the truth. Rise to the occasion. Be prepared for a great gathering, my brothers and sisters. Let it be known there are those among us who speak with confidence, but are confidently wrong. Prepare to see the results of set-apart discipline. Make things right, my brothers and sisters. Rise up. Brothers and sisters, come away from Box Nation era and prepare to embrace a fully set-apart spiritual nation made by the Almighty Father Yahuah through his word, sent in Yahusha's name. Prepare to witness the truth. Prepare to move forward and gather together. That's all I have for this segment, my brothers and sisters. Pray on this message. Do not argue with anyone. Speak the truth and step away and witness how the Almighty Father will stir our spirit and bring understanding and truth to power. My name is Symmanayah, and I present these words to you, my brother, my sister, my family. I thank you. Stay tuned. There's more to come. Shalom.